home already. So basically, I am at home. So it's a pleasure to be here and to share one or two experiences that I've been able to gather over the course of my career, which everyone. All this I'm about to say, it's not a secret, or it's not something that no one has ever heard of. And I'm very sure most of us would have been thinking towards this particular topic. But this is a chance for us to also deliberate and speak openly about what affects every one of us. To begin with, I want to appreciate the organizers of this particular session, the Knowledge Series, and I'm grateful for being called upon to also share my little cents with everyone. I hope this particular session will be of benefit to every one of us. The topic remains academics, industry, or entrepreneurship. Where does having a PhD lead me? I want to ask if my screen, can you see my screen moving? Can you see it's moving? Okay, good. Good. So, I still remain my humble self. My name is Dr. Ashraf Akintola. A lot of people do mispronounce the name as Akintola. No, it's not. My own is not Akintola, like the Ladoke Akintola. My name is Akintola. Akin, bravery is up to wealth. You know, when you are wealthy, being brave is also enough as a form of wealth. But we pray that we get that bravery to get more money also. So that's just by the way. So it's a pleasure to be here, and I am the founder and CEO of Noble Kyungpook Limited. I am presently a postdoctoral research fellow at the Institute of Phylogenomics and Evolution at Kyungpook National University here in Daegu, South Korea. I'm doing this for the purpose of those who will be joining us and who have not had any encounter with me. My research is deeply rooted in genomics and especially focused on entomology, which is the study of insects, and in particular, the study of mosquito. My research is focused on unraveling the genomic mysteries behind mosquitoes, how they have been able to be a very viable vector of debilitating diseases, especially diseases causing a lot of mortality globally, namely malaria, yellow fever, and the likes. So I have also navigated, I had a stint of research in terms of the entrepreneurial journey as being a founder of Noble Kyungpook Limited. I am also a passionate community builder, and assisting in empowering Nigerian and African professionals in South Korea and beyond. So it's my pleasure to be here. I've also, in my little experience, consulted for some R&D research companies, also of global repute. So it's a pleasure to be here speaking with us on this particular important topic. And I'll be assuming every one of us has a PhD, because that is when, or we are on the path of getting a PhD, because that is how this particular discussion will be very insightful, and we can have a little bit of a grasp of what we are talking about. Now that we are a PhD graduate, there is a particular saying amongst one of my very good friend. So while he after he has gotten his PhD, we were discussing. I was asking him how he was feeling about the PhD that he has gotten, and he was telling me particularly that the euphoria of having a PhD only lasts for just 1 or 2 weeks after you have collected your certificate. After that, the reality begins to set in, and you'll be wondering, what is the purpose of this PhD itself? Gone are the days whereby PhD is a destination, but nowadays a PhD is not a destination. It's in fact a passport, and the question is, where do you want this passport to take you? Now, the way you are going to utilize this passport determines, for For example, the country to which that passport belongs to. We all know that the passport of USA is not the same as the passport of Nigeria. And we know it's not the same as the passport of Korea or that of Japan or Singapore. The way you are able to utilize the passport which you have been given will determine how far that passport is going to take you. Now, your destination is the real question. Where is your destination? What is your destination? Where are you going? The question is, you've done the work. What is it that you want to do with the work that you have done? And that is the reality check for a lot of PhD students. I have someone who also wonders about the fact that, yes, why am I in a hurry to get a PhD? The brother spent a lot of years in his PhD sojourn. And we are discussing, I am asking him that, why are you not worried that you have not finished your PhD as quickly as everyone would desire? You know, after like 2 years or 3 years, you'll be wondering, let me finish this thing and go, Jerry. The question he asked me was that, why am I rushing? Where am I rushing to? What is the purpose of me running around? It's a question that's kind of insightful that, yes, after PhD, what's next? So if you have not been able to answer that question yourself, it becomes a problem even after you've gotten that PhD. PhD is not a destination, it is a passport. And the question is, where do you want to go? According to the research by Nature survey, it is stated that 15%, less than 15% of PhD graduates end up in the academia. And it raises a very, very important question. Having a PhD is a prerequisite for you to go into the academia. But now that having a PhD doesn't guarantee you having a place in the academia, it's something that's supposed to give us a reality check that, then what is the purpose of my PhD? If after getting a PhD, which is the prerequisite of my sojourn or career in academia, I will not be able to get, that means out of 100 people that applies to be a lecturer in the university or even a polytechnic or even a college of education, only less than 15% of them get inside. So if you apply, that means out of 100, 15 will be selected. Less than 15 will be selected. And all the other 75, they will be trashed out or thrown to something else. You wonder, what's now the purpose of that PhD? Which is an insightful question for us to think that this is not a destination, it is a pathway. Another review saw that less than 60% of PhD students or PhD graduates move to industry or governmental roles. In fact, if you have a PhD, you might not be needed in the industry. That's the reality check. If you have a PhD, you might not be needed in the industry because the way the industry operates is not the way the academia operates. And the reason why we are having less than 60%, which means you're having more percentage of those in the industry than in the academia, is because the industry is much more larger and can accommodate a lot of people than in the academia. Which gives you another form of insight for you to think that, which way do I want to go? And the last part is that less than 25% of those who have a PhD start a business or they do freelancing or they consult. Less than 25%. It's even a good news that this data is up to this amount. Because to me, I see that even the industry and the academia, they should have more percentage, especially academia should have more percentage than out of in the freelance or consulting business. And the reason why this is, after a lot of review, is that it is most likely that those in the industry, they end up being consultants. And that might explain this particular data, where we are having those who are moving into the consultancy or freelancing being more than those who end up in the academia. So it's an important question for us to think about. Now, you have a PhD. The question is, where do I go? What do I do with that PhD that I've gotten? What's the purpose? And where is it that I'm going? And how do I fit into these different pathways that I can explore so that I can have infinite or infinite possibilities? Now, we've highlighted that there are 3 pathways for you to go. It's either in the academia, in the industry, or you end up being an entrepreneur. These three pathways, they have their own unique set of skills or unique set of ways in which you will be able to navigate. And then they take different time scales or different time or season or range of time for you to, traverse that path. Let's take, for example, the first one, which is in the academia. If you are in the academia with your PhD, the normal route is after PhD, you get a postdoc. And after a postdoc, you become a lecturer. From then, you're associate professor, assistant professor, and then you become a full professor. And in the industry, the pathway is that you end up being an entry role for an R&D scientist, a senior researcher, a product manager, and then eventually end up being a director. In the entrepreneurship world, that one, you don't have a time scale. You can start out as being a director right from the start of being an entrepreneur. So you can start your own deep tech startup, you can spin out, you can do consulting, you can do IP licensing. It depends on whatever you want to do. I see the entrepreneurship pathways as the one that is most flexible among the three. However, each one of these pathways have their own peculiar strengths and weaknesses. For example, in the academia, we all know that you don't have intellectual freedom when you are just starting out as a PhD scholar. You don't have that. You also don't have the research leadership. You are always pinned to someone else. Yes, there are some scholarship or some grants that you will get as a postdoctoral researcher that will enable you to have that freedom. But it doesn't always come at the freedom level that we always think of. You have to learn a tutelage or be an apprentice under a full professor. And then this research leadership might also include you having maybe being the first author and the likes. And then the strength that it has, one of the pros that it has is that it offers you the chance of mentorship. It offers you the chance of mentorship to be mentored by someone that is older than you, have more vast experience than you in this particular field. And the challenges is that, of course, it's a very, very competitive job market. I need not to explain more about this based on the data that we've explained earlier on. It's a very, very competitive job market. The opportunities are little these days, and you have to publish or perish. It's either you publish or you perish. You can't expect people to believe you as a PhD graduate and you don't have a paper to prove. Your thesis is not enough to guarantee you as a PhD graduate. You have to show that level of expertise of having a publication in a peer-reviewed journal. So, the more you continue to publish, the more you elevate or the more you ascend in the scheme of things in the academia. If you don't do that, you are going to perish. Then you have this funding stress. A lot of PhD students have this challenge. I also faced that challenge, and it was so. In my own case, I've never been that lucky to have that funding galore. I could remember immediately after I finished my PhD, after I graduated, I think in December, the available fund that my professor was trying to pay me stipends, literally 2 stipends from, there is no chance for me to get from that fund again. It has finished already. And it was so bad that I was having to beg my professor that at least he should be giving me at least 500,000 won per month, at least to cover my rent and at least to cover the amount for insurance. It was that worse because there was no funding. So it took from that time till around April of that year. That's 2 months after the final graduation. Oh, you're not a doctor, blah, blah, blah. 2 months, full 2 months before we got a project and we resumed being paid. And that payment that we were paid is just not that sufficient, but it was much more better than what I was begging my professor to give me as at that material time. So, as a PhD graduate, the number one challenge is where is the money going to come from? And which was one of the worries of my friend that we were discussing with each other about what next after PhD. He said, is it not money that we are looking for after PhD? I know that if after PhD, I will be under the unnecessary stress of looking for funding. I have a funding here that is not running dry. So why am I running? Let me calm down and finish at the time I'm convenient with finishing. So that's the challenges. In the case of industry, the strength is that you have a higher salary, you have faster impact, you have cross-functional team. And another strength here is that you have more expertise at a particular skill. At a particular skill, in fact, you will become bored after a certain time because you'll be doing one thing at the same, you'll be doing one thing repeatedly, and you become more expertise. And that is what will give you the platform to be a consultant on that particular expertise. This is the greatest benefits. Oh, don't let me say the greatest benefits. The higher salary is also a greater benefit. Yes, this is a benefit that you will get in the industry. You have higher salaries. There is no doubt about that. If you are in the industry, you will be collecting more than how much someone is working in the academia. You're collecting more than a researcher, a lecturer, The only place where people get money from in the academia is when you have a lot of funds, and you will not be able to even spend it on your own personal self. But in the case of industry, you are set. If you are able to get a multinational company that pays well, you are set. That's it. Higher salaries, faster impact, because you will be dealing directly with the market. In the academia, you are just revolving around yourself. Everybody is just, this new publication, it has added to the body of knowledge. I hope the next research will work further and take the research further. That's what we are doing in academia. The direct impact you have from the research you conduct in the academia with the people, that is general populace, it takes time. So in the industry, you are directly relating with the community, with the world that are going to pay for the products that you are producing. Now, the challenge in the industry is that it has less autonomy, and the commercial priorities is more over pure research. Yes, there are some research that you will conduct in the lab, and you see a lot of prospects with that. But once that prospect doesn't have a commercial advantage, the industry will kind of look at you and just, you are not doing us any benefit. So the priorities of each of these industries, each of these pathways is different. If you are commercially motivated, then your pathway should be the industry. If you are looking for pure research, that we don't be doing research, then academia is for you. Now, the entrepreneurship. The entrepreneurship can be said to be the combination of what is obtainable in the academia and as well in the industry. Now, here, of course, you have full ownership, unlimited upside, and direct societal impact. However, entrepreneurship is not for the faint-hearted. I laugh in Chinese. I hope that maybe that is a Chinese laugh. Entrepreneurship is not for the faint-hearted. If you don't like yourself, that is when you should consider going for entrepreneurship. It's high risk. If you are not someone that is risk averse, don't try entrepreneurship. If you are always someone that is always calculative, I don't want to, you cannot thrive in entrepreneurship, because it is high risk, high reward world. High risk, high reward world. If you are not risk averse, don't try entrepreneurship, because you end up doing, you're about to say, you are doing someone else's work for that person. So entrepreneurship, the challenge is that it is high risk, and there is financial uncertainty. You might be rich today and tomorrow you might be poor. That's how volatile the entrepreneurship world is. And in the entrepreneurship world, you will wear a lot of hats. Yes, you will be the CEO, CTO, COO, MOO, marketing officer, accounting officer, sales representative. There is no break for you. Every time you are always doing something. The only time you are free is when you are sleeping. Even when you are sleeping, you'll be dreaming of how your business is going to thrive. You'll be thinking of new ideas. You'll be thinking of how to innovate. You'll be thinking of how to beat your competitor. You'll be thinking of how not to drown. You'll be thinking of how not to find the financial sustainability for your new idea, for your new project, it is a chaotic world. If you are someone that is not ready to go into that, or you are not risk averse, you have health challenges like high blood pressure, you are prone to high blood pressure, don't go into that. Just be doing your 9 to 5 in the industry, 9 to 5 in the, okay, maybe 9 to 9 in the academia. So let's move on forward. I've explained this. For the first part, which is the part of the academia, this is very, very important because a lot of people do not know how to survive or what it really takes to be on the academia part or being a researcher. Number one, of course, we've introduced ourselves as, yes, my name is Dr. So and so. You are welcome. Now, what are you going to do after your PhD? A postdoc. Normally, the time for a postdoc is between 1 to 5 years, especially in KNU here, is between 1 to 5 years. After 5 years, say bye-bye to postdoc. You are not eligible to become a postdoc. They will rather call you something else, like a research professor. So, now, this is the stage in which you are as a postdoctoral researcher, between 1 to 4 years. It's a time for you to build your expertise, to write projects, to win grants, to do mistakes and be corrected of your mistakes, to explore, to further. So it's a time for you to explore. They give you enough time to serve as an apprentice. Apprentice is an apprenticeship season for you to learn under more seasoned professors who have traversed that path before you. So, as a lecturer or assistant professor, after a postdoc, then you can now seek for an assistant professor role, or you might remain as a research professor within that range of 1 to 5 years. Then you become assistant professor, associate professor, and then you become a full professor. It also boils back to what we've explained earlier on. You have to continue to publish or you perish. You either publish or you perish. Continue to target journals that are in the Q1 or the Q2 journal. So, Dr. Munir Mustafiz. So, you have to publish in a Q1 or Q2 journals. And then a postdoctoral experience is usually required if you want to do well as a full professor. Then, of course, the survival tips you have to do is you have to continue to network. Always seek for groups or groups of researchers that are doing well than you are. And from there, you get to benefit from being a group. I was reading a LinkedIn post today about how there is a cabal, or don't let me say cabal, between the inequalities that exist in the publishing world. As a researcher, you'll be the one to look for the funding, you'll be the one to do the work, you'll be the one to write the research, and then you will submit into a well-known ranked journal or high-ranked journal, and then the high-ranked journal will collect, they will say, yes, we are going to collect from you an article publishing charge of $12,000. And you'll be wondering, what am I paying for? I'm the one doing all the work, so I'm paying people to read my research. It doesn't sound well, but that's how it works. I don't know how that is going to change in the nearest future. I don't think it's going to change because some people are there hitting fat out of the industry. It's a very big industry that is very, very lucrative. So, however, I don't think it's going to end soon. So that's how things are. You just have to flow with it and then just network with groups that are very rich in grants and that you can collaborate with and publish high impact factor journal. So we've explained most of this previously, that it's either you publish or you perish. In the industry part, we've also explained a little bit of what you need to do in terms of how to survive. In the industry part, you translate research into real-world products and solutions. And this is very, very important if you are not working or if you are working in the area of applied research. For those who are working in basic sciences, you might not thrive in the industry because all your research will just be doing in basic. But when you are doing applied sciences, like my friend, Dr. Munir Mustafiz, who is working on insecticides, green insecticide. And this is a part that a lot of people is clamoring, oh, climate change, you don't want to use organophosphates, blah, 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 we want to use biodegradable products. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to conduct my research, the research that I've done in the lab that can be applied into the world, whereby people can buy from me and biodegradable insecticides and blah, blah, blah. So that is translating your research into real world products and solutions. And that is where you can get your money. And as a researcher with a PhD, you can be a consultant. I've explained that before. And there are big consulting firms that you can start targeting if your research is applied. If your research is applied research, you can start targeting big companies like McKinsey, you can target BCG, you can target Deloitte. And these are firms that are actively hiring PhD for technical consulting. However, maybe we would have another session on that, on positioning. You have to position yourself to be able to be identified by these big consulting firms. Another thing that I want to talk about is that of policy and government research. A lot of government policies require you to have a PhD as an expert to be able to consult for the government. And this also has to do with positioning. If you don't position yourself as an expert, nobody will see you as an expert. And that is why you should blow your own trumpet. Blow your own trumpet. See, the world we are living now is a performative world. You have to act. You have to perform. You have to demonstrate. You have to show. It's not about that. Well, if I'm good, people will look for me. No, people are looking for someone. Even if you are not good, you are not that good. People that will come to you to consult with you, they also want you to promote their products. You know, they are coming to you. They know that you are an expert. Fine, that's plus to you. They are coming to you. But a plus to them is, yes, giving them a solution to their problem, and also, spreading their word that yes, this is what they do. But if you are not someone that they see that you are vocal, you position yourself, there is no way they will come to you and identify you. So it's very important. I've also spoken about the entrepreneurship part. It's very important. Use your PhD as a launchpad, not just a credential. For some of us that do not have the opportunity to get a consulting role in these big consulting firms, you can use the solution that you have gotten from your research and then use it as a launchpad for your entrepreneurship journey. For example, you've discovered that anytime in your research you discover that there is this particular chemical. Sorry, I'm using mosquito again. That whenever you use it, mosquitoes die. And then you can just say, okay, I'm producing it on a global industrial scale. I'm going to be selling it for insecticidal treatment, and that is not that is environmental friendly. And that's how to be an entrepreneur. You look for sponsors or investors that's going to invest in your business plan, and then that's how you launch. Coupled with the fact that it has its own pros and cons that we've explained earlier on. However, one of the features that you have to also build is that there are some other forms of entrepreneurship that you have to focus on. Some are deep tech or spin out, like you commercialize your PhD research, just like the example I cited earlier on. You can be a consulting firm. There is this particular person on LinkedIn, Dr. Banda Khalifa, and there is this particular lady, Dr. Amina Yunus. Yes, all of them, the two of them, they are doctors. This Banda Khalifa is from Ghana, but presently in US, and Amina Yunus, I think she's from UK, but presently in Dubai also. Yes, these are examples of people that you will see that they position their PhD, they position themselves as a PhD expert, and they offer consultancy work. I do that on the low key for bioinformatics, and it's something that you can also venture into. For EdTech and training, that one is a platform where you can thrive if your work revolves around that. You can build courses. For example, I build courses in Nobukin Math. I also engage other experts in the area to help me build courses, and then we market. Then we market to schools, we do trainings, and then this is something that you can do as well. And then you can apply you can do venture into entrepreneurship as a social enterprise. You can apply research to solve African or global developmental challenges. So those are some of the things that you can do. Now, the hybrid reality is that not everyone have the luxury of sticking to one. You can have the luxury of picking either of the three, or picking two of the three, or even the three. It's possible. It's very, very possible. So it's either you choose academia or industry or entrepreneurship. However, in between academia and entrepreneurship, you have a professorpreneur. We have them in the examples of Professor Ibinu. Professor Ibinu is the present Vice Chancellor of Summit University in Offa. And he, introduces himself as an acadopreneur. And he trains people, especially researchers, on how to venture into entrepreneurship. So you can also be in the industry and also be an entrepreneurship. That's an industry founder. So there's a direct link between industry and entrepreneurship. So those can work hand in hand. As after you've ventured into entrepreneurship, you can see that, yes, I've stayed my time. Let me go into the industry. And then, you can be there. And then you can also be in the academia on the industry. That one, it's well known amongst our midst that people do that. That's the academia industry relationship, especially in South Korea. So these are forms you can explore. However, before you decide, one thing you have to understand is that you have to know yourself. The right path aligns your values, your strengths, and your life goals, not just your CV. What do you want out of life? So there are some questions that you have to ask yourself, and I've been able to highlight the question you should ask yourself before you give yourself an answer. You can answer the question yourself. What drives you most? In the academia, if you are someone that always likes to discover knowledge, that means academia is fit for you. If you want impact at scale, you want to do something now, and you have a lot of people to adopt that, then industry is for you. And if you are someone that is always liking to build something new, that means entrepreneurship is for you. The second question you should ask yourself, how do you handle uncertainty? I've explained that previously. If you are someone that is risk averse, of course, entrepreneurship is for you. Thrive on it. You thrive on uncertainty. Entrepreneurship. If you like structure, that means industry is for you. If you can tolerate, maybe there is job or no job, academia is for you. You can tolerate the good season and the dry season, academia is for you. If you are someone that always wants a stable life in terms of income, industry. So these are questions you should ask yourself, and I hope you are able to do that. If you are your management style, if you are an independent researcher, or you are a team player, or you are a leader, so you can choose the one that fits your role. I've explained that of risk also, and also, do you like selling? Now, in the three pathways, academia, you have to sell yourself, and you sell yourself through a lot of grants. You have to know how to write grants. That is one thing that you must know if you want to be in academia. Just go and learn how to win grants. You can write same project for 4 different grants. If you are that very good in grant writing, I would advise you, if you want to go into the academia, start going for grant writing workshop right from now, even before you graduate, because it is the lifeblood in which you are going to thrive on for the rest of your career. Now, in the industry, it is not required for you to know how to write grants. But if you know how to write grants, it is a plus for you. And in entrepreneurship, it is essential. You definitely must know how to write grants, because you'll be pitching to a lot of people. And if you do not know how to pitch, if you don't know how to sell yourself, you are just wasting your time. You have to be a very, very good salesperson for you to thrive in entrepreneurship, because that is where your money is. If you do not do that, you will go hungry. My time is fast spent, and unfortunately, I have another presentation immediately after this in the next few minutes. I would like to quickly rush through the next few slides. So, these are some of the practical strategies to move from PhD candidate to a career leader. You have to start early. You have to build in public. That's talking about positioning yourself. You have to network internationally. That is going to workshop and conferences. Don't just go there to go and eating food. So you have to develop transferable skills. What transferable skills do you have that you can train people on? Project management, data storytelling, PPT design, figure design, and the likes. Like, so you have to know how to do that. You have to test before you commit. Don't just say yes, I want to go into entrepreneurship without testing the waters. Your eye will see. Your eye will see meme. You know what they call meme? Your eye will see and you did not test. So you have to know which one fits you more. And then you have to know your money. Which one do you want to do? If you are someone that calculation always disturb, you don't know how to add one on one together, one and one together to make two. That means entrepreneurship might not be for you, because your partners would swindle your money. They will swindle you. They will dupe you, and even investors will not be confident in investing in your program, because your financial literacy is very, very important. So financial literacy is the PhD skill nobody teaches, and we all need to have that, irrespective of the industry we find ourselves, in the academia, in the industry, or in the entrepreneurship world. You have to know how to do your finance. I hope this helps you. Now, on the last part, so your background as a Nigerian is an advantage for you. Nigerians are known for their resilience, for their global perspective, and that one is not doubt. There is no doubt about that one. So, resilience, Nigerians are considered as really survive. You can survive anywhere. The global perspective, we have a lot of knowledge about the world than any other average national that anywhere we meet ourselves. And one thing about us is that we like our community and we like to network. That's another strength. So we can thrive anywhere and discuss. You will see someone, hello, Alpha, where are you coming from? I'm Nigerian. And we know you are in Nigeria, and the way you are doing. That's a description that everyone has been described with, especially if you are in Nigeria. And imagine market insight. As a Nigerian, you have the potential to solve the problem of Africa. And one thing about Africa is that we have a lot of problems. And if you are able to solve a lot of problems, you will make a lot of money. It's just for you to have the knowledge, the skill set, and know how to sell yourself. If you know how to sell yourself, you make a lot of money in Africa, because Africa, and especially Nigeria, we have a lot of problems. And if you can solve problems for people, that means you are getting set to become very, very rich. Now you go tire from money. Then you have the multilingual capacity. If you are fluent in English and you are very, very good in Korean, and you have the local language, especially Yoruba, you are an asset. You are an asset. So Nigerians normally, the sixth background or strength that you have as a PhD graduate is that Nigerians normally have the hunger to succeed. And anywhere you find yourself, Nigerians are always hungry to succeed any fields they find themselves. I hope all this are very, very helpful in our sojourn to choose between academia, industry, or entrepreneurship. So I hope I've been able to speak to guide you through, and I pray that this is beneficial to every one of us. Your PhD is the beginning of the story, not the climax. Where are you going and where are you heading to? It depends on how well you use the passport God has given you. Thank you so much, Nigerian Students Association, Kyungpook National University, for having me. It's a pleasure. I hope I've been helpful. See you on the next one. Thank you.